Namaste, everybody. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Let's go. And we are officially here, as usual, sometimes. Very good. So here we go. Let's sing a little bit. Pranavam Pavanukuma Kalabana Pavaka Gyanagan Jasuhradaga Basai Ram Sarachapadha Atulita Baladham Hem Shalamudeham Tanujavan Kurshan Jnaninama Graganyam Sakalaguna Nidhanam Vanaranam Adhisham Raghupati Priya Bhaktam Atajatam Namam Oshpadi Kurtorisham Mashiki Kutarakshasam Ramayana Mahamalaratna Ande Nilatmajam Anjananandaram Viram Janaki Shokanashana Kapi Samakshahanta Ande Lanka Bhayankaram Ulangya Sindho Salilam Salilam Yashokavahi Chanakatmaja Adatane Dadahalanka Namamitam Pranjaliranjanayam Manojavam Maruttatulya Vegam Jitendriyam Buddhimatam Varishtam Vatatmajam Vanurdayutamukyam Shri Ramadutam Sharanam Prapadye Shri Ramadutam Sharanam Prapadye Shri Ramadutam Sharanam Prapadye Shri Ramadutam Sharanam Prapadye Anjaneya Mati Patalanam Kanchanadri Kamaniya Vigraham Parijata Taramula Vasanam Bhavayami Pavamananandanam Yatra Yatra Raghunatha Kirtanam Tatra Tatra Kritamastakhanjali Vashpavari paripurna lochana Martinamat rakshasantakam Bola Bajranga Bali Hanuman ki jai. So this prayer that I just sung, the Hanumat Stavan, it's a hymn, and it describes many of the qualities of Hanuman, and there's a couple of lines in there that are really powerfully important. One of them is Anjaneya Matipatalanam Kanchanadri Kamaniya Vigraham. And it says, Parijata Tarumula Vasanam Bhavayami Pavamananandanam. So Bhavayami means to be sitting in bhav, in deep samadhi, merging with Rama. And at the foot of this tree, and the thing is that when Hanuman is not busy or engaged in serving Rama physically, he's just naturally completely immersed beyond the body in samadhi, in union with Rama, with the union verse, at one. Well, that's one thing. That was a big key for me. And in fact, there's a story about with Maharaji. One time, Maharaji and some devotees were in Chitrakoot, which is the area where Ram, Sita, and Lakshman spent a lot of time after they had to leave the kingdom. I don't know if you know the whole story, but we'll just skip that for now. So for many years, they wandered around India, and for many years, they lived in this area called Chitrakoot, which is a beautiful forest, a big area with hills and very beautiful. And there's one hill called Hanuman Dhara. And so Maharaji and the devotees went up to the top of that hill, and they went to a place called Sita Rasoi, Sita's kitchen. And this was apparently a place that Ram, Sita, and Lakshman camped out for many years, and this area was where Sita cooked the food for them. And there's a stream, a natural stream coming out at the top of this mountain, right by this place, Sita Rasoi. So Maharaji was sitting by this little stream, and he said to Dada, his devotee, he said, Dada, this is where Hanumanji came to cool off after burning Lanka. Because I don't know if you know the whole story, but at one point, after Hanuman found Sita, Ravana the demon had Hanuman's tail set on fire. So Hanuman then escaped from the bonds he was being held with and jumped all around the kingdom of Lanka and lit the whole place up with those flames. And it's actually those flames, it's so beautiful. Those flames were the flames of Sita's agony at being separated from Ram. He took the fire, the agony that Sita felt, and with that energy, burnt the whole of Lanka. And then Maharaj said, then he came to this place in Chitrakoot and sat into this stream and cooled off. But then, kind of like talking to himself, very quietly, Dada said he heard Maharaji say, but Hanumanji was always at peace. Big time. That's really big time. No matter what he was doing, whether it was serving Rama, burning Lanka, jumping over the ocean, killing all the demons, no matter, he was always at peace. He was always deeper than any action that he was taking. He was not attached or identified with any action that he was engaged in. This is a big clue for us of where we are headed. Eventually, no matter what we're involved in our daily lives, our hearts will always be calm and at peace. And then there's another line that says, Yat tatra yatra raghunatha kirtanan tatra tatra krita mustakanjalin. So it says, wherever Ram's name is sung, Hanuman goes there in one form or another, subtle or physical. He goes there and is lost in ecstasy, in bhavana. So even right now, when we're singing Sri Ram Jai Ram and all these chants that we're doing, the belief is that actually Hanumanji comes there because he's so in love with Ram, he only wants to hear that name being sung. So wherever it's sung, he comes in one form or another. And of course, Maharaji is a manifestation of Hanuman himself. And Maharaji has said, whenever you think of me, I'm there. I come. So right now, our sensitivity is so dull. We don't experience those things directly. But over time of doing these practices, our hearts get purified and we will experience the reality of these things. Right now, if we can't take it on faith, which is okay, you don't need to believe anything that you don't believe. Don't manipulate yourself. We can at least suspend disbelief long enough to do the practices, long enough to plant the seeds for the things to grow that will help us. But if we don't do anything, then what, right? So we have to do something. Anjaneya mati patalan kanchanadri kamaniya vigraham parijata taramula vasanam bhavayami pavamananandanam yatra yatra raghunatha kirtana tatra tatra kritamustakanjalin Vashpavari paripurna lochanam Martinamat rakshasantakam. There he sits with his eyes red with tears of love for Ram. That's what that line is. Vashpavari paripurna lochanam Martinamat rakshasantakam Bolo Bhajaranga Bali Hanuman ki jai. Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. 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 Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Sita Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Sita Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Sita Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Sita Ram, Ram Ram. Shri Ram Jai Ram, Jai Jai 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 Ram. Hare Ram, Ram Sitaram Ram Hare Ram 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 Sitaram Ram Hare Ram 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 Sitaram Ram Sitaram Ram Ram Hare Ram Hare Ram 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 Sitaram Ram Hare Ram 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 Sitaram Ram Hare Ram 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 Sitaram Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Ram Jai Ram Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Ram Sitaram, 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 Jai Sitaram. Sitaram, 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 Jai Sitaram. Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram 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 Sitaram, 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 Jai Sitaram. Sitaram, 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 Jai Sitaram. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Ram, Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Ram. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Ram, Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Ram. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Ram, Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Ram. Jai Bajranga Bali Hanuman, Sankat Mochan Kripanidhan. Jai Bajranga Bali Hanuman, Sankat Mochan Kripanidhan. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Ram, Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Ram. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Ram, Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Ram. Jai Bajranga Bali Hanuman, Sankat Mochan Kripanidhan. Jai Bajranga Bali Hanuman, Sankat Mochan Kripanidhan. Sitaram, 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 Jai Sitaram. Sitaram, 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 Jai Sitaram. Jai Bajranga Bali Hanuman, Sankat Mochan Kripanidhan. Jai Siya Ram, Jai Baba Hanuman, Sankat Mochan Kripanidhan. Jai Siya Ram, Jai Baba Hanuman, Sankat Mochan Kripanidhan. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Ram, Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Ram. Let's see if I can do this with this. Jai Jagadambe Sita Radhe Jai Jai Jagadambe Sita Radhe Kali Durge Namo Namo Kali Durge Namo Namo Jai Jagadambe Sita Radhe Jai Jagadambe Sita Radhe Kali Durge Namo Namo Kali Durge Namo Namo Jai Jagadambe Sita Radhe Jai Jagadambe Jai Jagadambe Sita Radhe Kali Durge Namo Namo Kali Durge Namo Namo Jai Jagadambe Sita Radhe Kali Durga Namo Namo Ma. Palanakarani Bhavabhaya Harani. Palanakarani Palanakarani Bhavabhaya Harani. Kali Durga Namo Namo Ma. Kali Durga Namo Namo Ma. Jai Jagadambe Sita Radhe Jai. Jai Jagadambe Sita Radhe Jai. Kali Durga Namo Namo Ma. Kali Durga Namo Namo Ma. Jai Jagadambe Sita Radhe Jai Jagadambe. Jai Jagadambe Sita Radhe Jai. Kali Durga Namo Namo Ma. Kali Durga Namo Namo. Palanakarani Bhavabhaya Harani. Palanakarani Palanakarani Bhavabhaya Harani. Kali Durga Namo Namo Ma. Kali Durga Namo Namo Ma. Alabinashan Kali Jaya Jaya. Kalabinashani Kali Jaya Jaya. Durgatinashani Durga Jaya Jaya. Durgatinashani Durga Jaya Jaya. Uma Rama Brahmani Jaya Jaya. Uma Rama Brahmani Jaya Jaya. Jaya Radhe Sita Rukmani Jaya Jaya Radhe. Radhe Sita Rukmani Jaya Jaya Radhe. Kala Binashani Kali Jaya Jaya. Avinashani Durga Jaya Jaya. Durgati Nashani Durga Jaya Jaya. Uma Rama Brahmani Jaya Jaya. Uma Rama Brahmani Jaya Jaya. Jaya Radhe Sita Rukmani Jaya Jaya Radhe. Radhe Sita Rukmani Jaya Jaya Radhe. Kala Binashani Kali Jaya Jaya. Shani Durga Jaya Jaya. Durgati Durgati Nashani Durga Jaya Jaya. Uma Rama Brahmani Jaya Jaya. Uma Rama Brahmani Jaya Jaya. Jaya Radhe Sita Rukmani Jaya Radhe. Jaya Radhe Sita Rukmani Jaya Jaya Radhe. Kala Binashani Kali Jaya Jaya. A lot of times people ask me how I learned to chant. You don't learn to chant. You don't learn to fall in love, you just fall. And I was very blessed to get to India before Maharaji left the body. I was able to see him. And more than that, I was able to participate in many of the celebrations in the temple. And for instance, during Durga Puja, which is a 9-day celebration in the fall, there's a fire puja for 9 days. And every day there's all these offerings into the fire and a lot of swahas and a lot of mantras, and we used to sit and listen. And it was great, but at night, you see, this is the biggest holiday of the year, really, one of the biggest holidays. And especially in the hills, it's very popular. And all the ladies, the women from town, who in those days, India was still very traditional. And in those days, many of the women were expected to stay at home unless they went out with their husbands. But during the Durga Puja time, when Maharaji was in Kenchi, so many of the women disciples, women devotees would come from Nainital and other villages around and stay in the temple during that period for the puja time. And at night, oh my goodness, at night is when it was happening. Late at night, when everybody else had gone to sleep, all the guys had been up all day doing the fancy pujas, they would crash. Then the ladies would get started, and they would party. They would party. They would rock and roll all night long. It's unbelievable. The drumming, like I can't tell you what it was like, other than it was amazing. Completely unrestrained. And they had this one room in the front of the temple, but it shared a wall with the back of the temple, which is where people slept and stayed. The front of the part of the temple was where Maharaji stayed, and Siddhiman, Jivantiman, the other Mahas, would stay in the front. So that wall had a window in it, and all the Mahas were in this room just with that window. And there was a set of stairs right by that window, and I would sit on those stairs all night long and just be transported by this power of the devotion and the love and the ecstasy these ladies would generate. I can't, they'd be, and all of a sudden somebody would scream, and then fall over, and the other ladies would catch her, This, I didn't look in the window, but I heard later, what was going on. Mr. Tiwari would tell me. And KK would tell me. And they would just, out of this incredible devotion, they would just go into these samadhis and this ecstasy. And that's when I got to say that's when all the lights went on about chanting, when I really understood what was possible, just through love, just through the practice of calling out, of chanting these names with such intensity. So, and this chant we just did was Siddhima's favorite, one of her favorite chants. Whenever I used to sing it, even later on at the temple, she would come out and sit on the porch and listen while we sang. And this is one of those chants. Except I sing it. They used to sing it. And then, it's like unbelievable. So this is just the poor man's imitation of the real thing. But and that means what it means. Kala binashini means she who destroys time. Kala is time. Kali is the goddess Kali, who destroys time, and by destroying time, destroys suffering. All our suffering is in time. It's in this reality where we think we are who we think we are, and all this stuff happens. And so by destroying time, our separateness is also destroyed. Our false belief in ourselves as separate beings is also destroyed. Kala binashini, durgati nashini, Durga. Durgati is troubles and problems. Durgati nashini, she who destroys all that stuff. Durgati, Jaya Jaya, Durga Jaya Jaya. I don't know, I feel like singing to the goddess. Om Namah Chandikaya, 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 Om Namah Chandikaya. Jayanti Mangala Kali, Bhadrakali, Kapalini, Durga Kshama, Shivadatri, Swaha, Swadha, Namostute, Narayani, Namostute, Narayani, Namostute, Narayani, Namostute, Narayani, Namostute. Siddhi Buddhi Prade Devi Bhakti Mukti Pradayani Mantramurthe Mahadevi Mahalakshmi Namostute Narayani Namostute Narayani Namostute Narayani Namostute Narayani Namostute. Sarvabadha Vinirmukto Dhanadhanya Siddharto Manusyo Matprasadeno Vishati Namostute Narayani Namostute Narayani Namostute Narayani Namostute Narayani Namostute Jaya Jagarambe He Ma Durga Jai Jagarambe He Ma Durga Jai Jagarambe He Ma Durga Jai Jagarambe He Ma Durga Ma Kali Durga Namo Namo Ma Kali Durga Namo Namo Jai Jagarambe He Ma Durga Jai Jagarambe He Ma Durga 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 Jai Jagarambe He Ma Durga Jai Jagarambe He Ma Durga Jai Jagarambe Ma Durga Jai Jagarambe Ma Durga Jai Jai Jagarambe Ma Durga Jai Jagarambe Ma Durga Om Narayani 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 Om Jai Jagarambe Ma Durga, Jai Jagarambe Ma Durga. Jai Jagarambe Ma Durga, Jagarambe Ma Durga. He Ma Durga, He Ma Durga, He Ma Durga, He Ma Durga. He Ma Durga, He Ma Durga, He Ma Durga, He Ma Durga. Jai Jagarambe Ma Durga, Jai Jagarambe Ma Durga. Jai Jai Jagarambe Ma Durga, Jai Jagarambe Ma Durga. Om Narayani Om Narayani Om Narayani Om Narayani Om Om Narayani Om Narayani Om Narayani Om Narayani Om Jai Jagarambe Ma Durga, Jai Jagarambe Ma Durga. Jai Jagarambe Ma Durga, Jai Jagarambe Ma Durga. Om Narayani 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 Om Jai Jagarambe Ma Durga, Jai Jagarambe Ma Durga. Jai Jagarambe Ma Durga, Jagarambe Ma Durga. Narayani Om 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 Jai Jagarambe Ma Durga, Jai Jagarambe Ma Durga. Jai Jagarambe Ma Durga, Jai Jagarambe Ma Durga. Narayani Om, Narayani Om, Narayani Om, Narayani Om. Narayani Om, Narayani Om, Narayani Om, Narayani Om. Jai Jagarambe Ma Durga, Jagarambe Ma Durga. Jai Jagarambe Ma Durga, Jai Jagarambe Ma Durga. Narayani Om, 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 Narayani Om. Okay, let's see what's going on inside people's heads. Oop, wrong one. Google Docs, Google Docs. It's always somewhere else. There you go. Okay, a couple of announcements. This Saturday, 2 o'clock Eastern Time, Chai and Chat. So all the information is on krishnadas.com/events. And the Flow of Grace book that I wrote about Hanuman and about Hanuman Chalisa, and then recorded as an audiobook, is now available on a whole bunch of the audiobook platforms like Audible, Kobo, BookBeat, Libro FM, and also directly from krishnadas.com. So if you feel like checking it out, that's where you can do it. We're going to Baja, all things COVID permitting. We're going to Baja in about 10 days. We're doing a 5-day retreat in Baja. And there are a few spots left available for this in-person retreat. Once again, all the information is on krishnadas.com. Hopefully, we'll be able to go. We'll see. If not, we'll do it some other time. Also, for those of you in LA, we had planned to be on tour by spring, by February. But the way things are going, we're not going to be able to be touring at that time. So the Kirtan in Los Angeles, which was supposed to be February 26, has now moved to a possible date in May. And I want to thank all of you out there for being so patient with all these cancellations and postponements, because it's been tough on everybody for sure. And for those of you in Boulder, we were supposed to be there March 16th. That's now postponed until June 21st. So just check krishnadas.com and there. Was there an event in my youth? that made me want to turn to Eastern philosophy? Well, the first thing that comes to mind was my bar mitzvah when I was 13. As I was, I was born Jewish on my parents' side. And so I was bar mitzvahed at 13. And after studying and learning a few mantras, Hebrew mantras to sing for the ceremony, there was a big party. And it's the tradition, the bar mitzvah parties, that people give you money and checks and everything. And I was walking around with a pocket full of money and checks. Like I had almost $1,000. I'm 13 years old. And my father comes over to me and says, give me the money. I said, what do you mean? He said, give me the money. I need the money. I said, what do you mean? He said, I have to pay for this party. That crushed me. And that was it for organized religion. I was finished with all that at that moment. So that's a lighthearted answer to that question. No, there was no one event that I can remember. But when I first heard about Indian philosophy, because that was the first thing I heard about, and Zen Buddhism, the thing that struck me was that these were practices you could do to find something. There was nothing in my life before that indicated there was anything to find, any way to live in the world happily and find the things, get the things you wanted. So that was a big thing for me, because, like I say, until that time, I was just, I didn't know what to do. There was no hope. There was no understanding that there were practices to do. There was a path to anything. It was just, bleh, for the rest of your life. And that wasn't any fun. Oh, there's a question about the LA Kirtan in February. I just answered that. It's going to be in May sometime, and all the ticket holders will be emailed by the producer. We're not producing. There's a promoter there. Eric's a very good guy. So the new day will be announced soon. Do you ever feel Ram Dass with you or receive signs of his presence, even though he hasn't really gone anywhere? Well, of course, I do. I feel him all the time. 50 years with somebody, it's a very deep and sharing the deepest, the most open spaces that human beings can aspire to. We share those spaces together for so long, and we learned over the years to trust each other's hearts so much more as the time went on. And by the last 10 years or so, or more even, so he was in the wheelchair over 20 years, but for the last 10 or 12 years, we really got close. We really, we shared a very deep space together, a very deep experience of Maharaji's presence together. We would sit for hours and hours without a word being spoken or needing to be spoken. We were just communicating in this wordless way. It was very beautiful. Very, very, very beautiful. But yeah, I think I dreamt of him a few times lately. I don't remember exactly what was the dreams, but he's so much a part of me, and a part of, he's the one I really got the hit from first. It was through him that I felt Maharaji. So we're intimately connected in that flow from Maharaji. So, any recommendations for Makar Sankranti tomorrow? Robert Swoboda says it's an extra good day for practice. Well, Robert Swoboda understands those things. I don't know fuck all about any of that stuff. But if he says it's a good day for practice, let's do some practice. You know, I just try to crawl out of bed at one point during the day and do some practice. I don't care what day it is. I don't know what day it is, whether it's a good day or a bad day. I just try to do the best I can every day. I don't know anything about all that stuff. Robert Swoboda knows all that stuff. He's fantastic. He's a very good friend of mine, and he's brilliant, and he knows all that stuff. And he's a great practitioner. He's not just an intellectual. He really practices. He's deep. I encourage you all to check out Dr. Robert Swoboda, SVOBODA.com. He's got all kinds of stuff on his website. He's got 4 videos about the Ramayana, which are fantastic, which are absolutely fantastic. And so, yeah, he's the greatest. So you'll really enjoy him. Do you have any secrets on how to hold and embody the concept of the lotus and turning suffering into the lotus? If I have any secrets, they're probably secrets from me too, or secrets to me. I don't have any secrets. This is who I am. This is what I do. This turns everything into everything for me. Just chant. Just sit your ass down and do some chanting. And don't think about it. And everything will change in your life. You don't need to know which button to push. Chanting pushes all the buttons at the same time. You don't have to have one mantra for this, one mantra for that, one mantra for this, one mantra for that. Not at the level that we're at. Maybe eventually we'll get to a place where we want to do something specific. But right now, we can't even get out. I can't even find the toilet in the middle of the night. And in fact, once I was in a hotel room, I woke up in the middle of the night to go to pee, and I almost peed in the closet. So, come on. Just do some chanting. Do some practice. Don't think about all things like that. Just try to get through the day in a good way, and try to be kind to yourself. That's all. You don't need a mantra to be kind to yourself. You just need to recognize what that means. And then you can try to figure out why it is you're not kind to yourself. You don't need magic for that. You just need to pay attention. You need sincerity of heart. That's what we need. You described, this is a question, you described an incident at Dada's house when, I'm reading this, you ran into Maharaji in an unguarded moment on the porch, when what you saw in his eyes was so shocking that you almost fainted. Can you tell us what you saw in Maharaji's eyes in that microsecond? It wasn't shocking, and I didn't almost faint. That was not the feeling. You know, Dada used to say that Maharaji had 2 blankets. He had an outer blanket which covered his body because he was always taking on the karma of other people. He was getting sores on his body and then they would disappear. He was always doing mudras underneath the blanket to help people and accomplish many things. And he didn't show that stuff. He kept it hidden. But Dada said he also had an inner blanket which covered his radiance and the intensity of his light from us because we couldn't bear it. It would be like putting out a little baby plant in the hot noonday sun in India. It just dries up and gets burnt. So Maharaji's inner blanket was protecting us from being burnt because we were so closed. It's like in India, you know, they have practices where you sit surrounded by 4 fires, and you sit in the middle of these 4 fires and you stare wide open-eyed at the sun for the whole day. But we can't do that. You have to be in a particular state of consciousness where your eyes don't close and grip. You have to be wide open, and then the sun energy flows through you and doesn't burn you. So it's called Panchagni, 5 fires. The 4 fires around you, and the 5th fire is the sun. So in this case, it was evening time, and we had finished eating, and I just wandered out onto the porch to sit down in the night air. And I saw that Maharaji was sitting in a chair facing out towards the road and the sky, away from the house. His back was, so he didn't see me coming out. And so I went around in front of him and I sat down, and he was sitting like this, you know, just sitting, looking out into space. And I sat down in front of him and I gently grabbed his foot, took his foot, you know, to massage his foot. And he just went like that, looked at me, you know. And in that second, my mind stopped. I looked through his eyes at the vastness of the universe. And then immediately he kind of covered himself and he laughed and giggled and said, "Ciao, ciao, go, go, go." And he sent me away. But that millisecond was, whoa, it was really something. You know, we all want this and want that. We want all these experiences. We want to have samadhi. We want to have ecstasy and bliss. But we're not willing to do the work that's required to clean up our rooms, to clean ourselves up from all our attachments and likes and dislikes and hatreds and anger and shame and fear and grief and selfishness. We're not, you know, we don't want to do the work that's required to clean ourselves up, to be able to hold that stuff. The image they use in India is that if you want to pour fresh milk into a pitcher, you have to clean the pitcher first. Otherwise, all the milk will be spoiled. If it's yesterday's milk, there'll be bacteria in there. You have to wash the pitcher, and then you can fill it with the milk. So we need to find a way to wash our hearts. And if you just see how we go through the day, how much we cling to one thing and push another thing away and like this and hate that and judge this, and we just begin to notice how much work we really have to do. So people ask, why can't I just chant? Why do I have so many thoughts? Am I so busy? It's a very simple answer. You want to be busy, and you don't want to sit. Period. If you were hungry, you would eat. If you were thirsty, you would drink. But we're too busy with the world. We want all this other stuff. We want to be busy. We want this. We want that. We want this book. We want this movie. We want these clothes. We want this car. We want this kind of life. We want this person. We don't want that person. We're busy. We don't want to sit. If you wanted to, you would. So just accept that. This is who you are right now. There's no need, you don't have to judge yourself, but recognizing that is the beginning of taking responsibility for your state of mind. there's nothing outside of you that's controlling you and pushing you around. It's all your own desires, our own desires. I'm not saying you out. This is what we want. I have a friend who's a very advanced meditator. My goodness, I mean, really, many years of very powerful, deep practice. And yet, he wastes so much time. And he asked his guru, why am I wasting so much time? And his guru said, you wanna. It's that simple. It's really that simple. Don't make it all mystical and complicated. You don't wanna. You don't wanna sit, you don't sit. So, we have to start taking responsibility for our own state of mind. And if we don't do practice, we'll never be able to change that state of mind. And by practice, once again, I'm not saying formal, this is only this is practice. No, practice is how you go through your day, recognizing how you go through your day. It's not only on the mat or the chair or the floor or whatever. It's how you live and how you treat people and how you treat yourselves, how we treat ourselves. Somebody's saying, I'd like to read the Ramayana. Which one should I read? Does it matter which one I pick? Well, yes and no. Basically there's two types of Ramayanas. There's Valmiki's Ramayana and many other versions of it that tell the story in a particular way, one particular way. And then there's Tulsidasa's Ramayana and the devotional versions, which tell the same story in a very different way. Up in the north where I'm from, oh my goodness, I'm from the North Shore of Long Island, but at that point I was telling you that I was from the northern part of India. Hare Rama. In the north, Tulsidas Ramcharitmanas, the mind lake of the stories of Rama, Ramcharitmanas, Tulsidas' Ramayana, is the biggest, the most popular book. And it tells the story of Ram in a very devotional way and is very inspirational and at the same time very deep and can rewire your system for understanding many things. So it turns out that my friend Michael Sternfeld and Michael created this program. And what it is we're calling it Hanuman's Leap of Faith. And what it is going through the Valmiki Ramayana and extracting everything that Hanuman thought or said in the Ramayana and make readings of that and commenting on that. So it's a very interesting little project, big project. The details are on my website. It's called Hanuman's Leap of Faith. And I will be talking with Michael. We've done a recording of a conversation about this on January 27th. And that's a free event, January 27th. So look, once again, krishnadas.com/events, and you can get all this information. If you don't know anything about the Ramayana, if you don't know the story, then I would read William Buck's version of the Ramayana. William Buck, B-U-C-K. He was a very interesting guy, and he synthesized the whole story and made it very accessible to Westerners. And it's a wonderful telling of the story. William Buck. And then, of course, there's more about this leap of faith, Hanuman's leap of faith. Somebody's asking me how to send me Ricola without sugar. Thank you for the thought, but I don't want those Ricolas without sugar. I started to use them at one point, and I got a growth in the back of my gums from whatever it is they use to sweeten those things. So I went back to the sugar Ricolas, but I just brush my teeth 3 times a day now. So thank you for the offer, but whatever they sweeten those Ricolas with, it's not something I want to be a part of. But I appreciate it. Thank you. Somebody's asking, will I plan a kirtan at Garrison or somewhere nearby in this northeast area? Yes, we are thinking about doing a weekend retreat at Garrison in April. We're not sure of the date yet. It will be announced. All of this is COVID willing. Depending on what happens with COVID, we'll see what we can do. So somebody's asking here, how can I quickly forgive? For us, there's no quickly forgiving. We are very emotional beings. We are very hurt. We have all been betrayed. Our hearts have all been broken many times, some of us. And it's very hard to forgive all those beings that we think have hurt us. There's no quickly forgiving. But as you start to do some work on yourself, you begin to see how hard it is to overcome all the stuff inside of us and open our hearts. We see how difficult it is. And what happens after a while is when you begin to see how difficult it is for you, just naturally by extension, you start to notice, well, if it's so difficult for me, that miserable piece of shit over there who killed me, who hurt me, it must be difficult for him too, or her too. And then what happens is a lot of the sting and the hurt from the interactions that caused you suffering, they begin to go away. Because you begin to see that that person, even though they hurt you or you were hurt by the interaction, you see that just like you, that person was acting out of his own pain. And in that sense, those people are not so different than us. And we begin to get a little humility about how we feel about people who we believe have hurt us. Even if they've really hurt us, I mean, physically, emotionally, directly hurt us, we begin to see that their actions weren't caused by us, and on the deepest level weren't even aimed at us, even though it looks like that. They were just acting out of their own violent anger and violent suffering, and that they couldn't help themselves. And then you see that when you start to understand a little bit about the karma and the laws of cause and effect, you see that that person who hurt us has created suffering for themselves as well, and they will pay. There's a karmic price to pay for that. And then again, when you see that, you realize, well, for me too, all the people I've hurt, all the people I've betrayed, all the times I've betrayed myself, I am going to have to pay a karmic price. And then well, I don't want to pay. Neither do they want to pay. It's like it's an equalizing kind of understanding. And then you start to get close to I don't know that the word forgiveness is very, you just start to you start to recognize that you have to give that person the space to be who they are. even if it seems like they've hurt you, even if they've hurt us. We don't have to judge them. We don't have to hurt them back. We don't have to hate them. We can let them be who they are. Somewhere else, not in my house, but somewhere, let them be who they are. Okay. Let them go through what they have to go through. As my grandfather used to say, God bless them. Of course, he didn't mean it. That was way, he used to say, fuck you, but that was my grandfather. So, you know, and when you can start to forgive yourself, when we can start to forgive ourselves for so many of the things that we've done that have been hurtful to other people, then we can begin to give other people a little bit of space to be who they are. When we begin to love ourselves a little bit and to be kind to ourselves a little bit, that releases a lot of the tension and anger and emotion that we're holding on to, thinking that it's about other people. It's really in us. Someone's asking about the Hanuman, about the Bajrang Ban. Bajrang Ban means the arrow or the weapon of Hanuman. Ban usually means arrow. And it's a chant or hymn to Hanuman. And it was explained to me that sadhus in the jungle, yogis in the jungle, when they get scared at night, maybe there's wild animals, maybe there's who knows what, they sing this, Bajrang Ban, to protect themselves. And Siddhima told me to do this practice of singing Bajrang Ban every day. Maybe I'll sing it now with you all. It's on one of my CDs, maybe Kirtanwala or Heart as Wide as the World. One of those two I think it's on. It's a little different than the Chalisa in the sense that there's some Bij mantras in the Bajrang Ban, which need to be pronounced correctly. Hanuman Chalisa, there isn't really any strict, you must pronounce every word correctly. It's a good idea to try to do it correctly, but with the Bajrang Ban, there's a few Bij mantras, which are powerful seed mantras, very powerful sounds, which should be pronounced correctly. So I can, maybe I'll sing that as soon as we finish with these questions. Which book do you recommend to understand the Bhagavad Gita? Well, there is one book that was very powerful for me. It's called The Yoga of the Bhagavad Gita by Sri Krishna Prem. Sri Krishna Prem was an Englishman who lived in India his whole life and was completely into Indian culture and Indian religion. And he was a devotee of Krishna. And it's an amazing story. And he was so brilliant. He was, you know, this is back in the 30s, the 20s and the 30s. And he wrote this book, a couple of books. One is about the Kathopanishad, very powerful book. But the Yoga of the Bhagavad Gita, it's really deep. You can't sit down and read it through. You can read like a few paragraphs a day, a few pages a day. There's a lot to digest in there. It's really powerful. And then there's many versions of the Bhagavad Gita. Every every yogi or Baba or saint who wants to start a part of a lineage or does a teaching about the Bhagavad Gita and uses it to support their own ideas about things. So it's very hard to really get to really experience what Krishna really says in the Gita, because everybody's approaching it from a different angle. So maybe that's okay. I don't know, but Krishna Prem doesn't have any access to grind like that. He wasn't starting a lineage or trying to get disciples. In fact, he lived pretty much in solitude. I just kicked the camera. Sorry, Instagram people. He lived up in the mountains in India with his guru, an older Indian woman who was the wife of his department head when he was a history teacher at the University of Lucknow. It's crazy, amazing story. Totally Indianized, but very powerful book. We read this out loud. Ram Dass read it to us out loud in the winter of 1969, up on at the Lama Foundation in New Mexico. And it was like being rewired. It was so powerful. Nina, if you're there, could you write that number? Did you write it in the chat, the name of the book? Yoga of the Bhagavad Gita by Sri Krishna Prem. It was hard to come by, but I think now they've just released it in a paperback form. It's a little easier to find. And then there's one of the translations that I like very much is the translation by Christopher Isherwood and Swami Prabhavananda. I forget what it's called. Is it called? But that's a nice translation because Christopher Isherwood was a great writer and knows how to use the English language. And there's another one out now, a very new translation that's also cuts through, pairs away a lot of the Western mystical Christian imagery from the translations. Because in English, all the religious and spiritual words are part of Christianity. I mean, the soul, all those images are from the Western religion, which is Christianity. But this document, the Bhagavad Gita, was way before that. And so trying to get it in English as it's written is not so easy. What's the name of that one? Damn it. I don't remember. It's a very nice book. Bhagavad Gita. I don't know. I can't remember. So the weapon of Hanuman, well, his weapon is usually a gada, which is a mace. It's called M-A-C-E, and it's like a big club, a very heavy club. You have to be very strong to use it. And he's seen with that weapon many times. Where is that? Many of the Hanuman Murtis and pictures of Hanuman show that weapon, a mace. Okay, why don't I sing the Bajrang Ban, since you asked about it. Like I said, the words are probably somewhere on my website. Recently, Nina, I think I went through them and corrected some of it, and I had sent it to you. I don't know if the corrected version got up on the website, but hopefully it did. When I try to sing the Bajrang Ban, with the harmonium, I always get lost. But when I sing it by myself, I don't get lost. So I'm going to keep the words here. निश्चय प्रेम प्रतीत थे विनाय करे सन्मान ते के कार्य सकल शुभ सिद्ध करे हनुमान जय हनुमंत संत हितकारी सुन लीजिए प्रभु अर्ज हमारे जन के काज विलंबन कीजिए आतुर दौड़ महासुख दीजिए जैसे कूड़ी सिंधु वही पार सुरसा बदन फेत बिस्तार आगे जाए लंकिनी रोक मरहु लात गई सुरलोक जय विभीषण को सुख दीन सीता निर की परम पद लीन पागु जारि सिंधु वही पार सुरसा बदन फेत बिस्तार आगे जाई लंकिनी रोक मरहु लात गए सुरलोक जय विभीषण को सुख दीन सीता निर की परम पद लीन बाग उजाड़ सिंधु महाघोर अति आतुर यम कातुर थोर अक्षय कुमार को मारि संहार धूमल फेत लंक गोचारा लाह समान लंक जर गई जय जय दुरि सुरपुर महाभाई अब विलंब के कारण स्वामी कृपा करोड़ अंतर्यामी जय जय लखन प्राण के दाता आतुर होए दुख करहु निपात जय गिरिधर जय जय सुख सागर सूर समूह समर्थ भटनागर ओम हनु 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 हनुमंत हटीले बेरही मारो वज्र के कीले कटा वज्रले बेरही मारो महाराज प्रभुदास उबारो ओंकार हुंका महावीर दाव वज्र गदा हनु विलंब न लावो ओम ह्रीं 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 हनुमंत कपीश ओम हुं 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 हनुरेर शीश सत्य हो हरि शपथ पाय के रामदूत दरुमर जाय के जय 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 हनुमंत अगाधा दुख पवत जन के अपराधा पूजा जप तप नेम आचारा नहीं जानत हो दास तुम्हारा बन उपवन मग गिर ग्रह माही तुमरे बल हम दर पट नाही पान परो कर जोरी मनाओ यही अवसर अब के गहराओ जय अंजनी कुमार बलवंत शंकर सुवन वीर हनुमंत बदन कराल खाल कुल गालक राम सहाय सदा प्रतिपालक भूत प्रेत पिशाच निशाचर अग्नि वैथल कार मरी मर इहे मरो तो शपथ राम की रघुनाथ मर्याद नाम की जनक सुता हरिदास कहावो ताकि शपथ विलंबन वावो जय 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 दुनि होत आकाशा सुमिरत होत दुस दुख नाशा चरण शरण कर जोड़ी मनाओ यही अवसर अब के दोहराओ उठ उठ चल चोय राम दोहाई पानी परों कर जोड़ी मनाए चम 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 चपल चलंत ओम हनु 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 हनुमंता ओम हं 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 कडेत कपि चंचल ओम सम सम सहमि पराने कलदल अपने जन को तुरत उबारो सुमिरत हो आनंद हमारो यह बजरंग बाण जय मारे थाई को पिर कौन उबारे पाठ करे बजरंग पान की हनुमत रक्षा करें प्राण की यह बजरंग बाण जो जापे Tehite bhuta preta sabakampe, drupade aur jape hamesha, take tanun hi rahe kalesha. Prema pratiti hi kapi baje, sada dhare ur dhyan. Tehike karaj sakala shubh, siddha kare Hanuman. Siddha kare Hanuman. Siddha kare Hanuman. Jai Jai Ram, Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram, Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram, Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram, 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 Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram, Shri 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 Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Shri Ram Jai Ram 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 Jai Jai Ram, Ram Jai Jai Ram, Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram, Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram, Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Wait, who's it by? So that's the Bajrang Ban. Let's sing Hanuman Chalisa now. The name of that book, that translation of the Bhagavad Gita, that is by Jeffrey Armstrong and Kavindra Rishi. And it's called The Bhagavad Gita Comes Alive. very nice new translation, and it slices away all of the Western Christian images, which is not that they're bad, it's just that, remember, the Gita was written thousands of years before Jesus, so the problem is English doesn't know how to talk about that stuff without those images, so it's very, very nice translation. So, that question about forgiving others. Who are we to forgive? We also live in a glass house, and we don't want stones thrown at us. But we ourselves have thrown so many stones at other people's glass houses. So the way to free ourselves from that is to wish all beings, to wish that they be happy, to wish that all beings be free from suffering, all beings including ourselves, be free from suffering, and be free from the causes of suffering. So, we're going to sing the Hungry Hearts Prayer and then Hanuman Chalisa, because, like I said, the Hungry Hearts Prayer, I've said many times, was given to me by Bernie Glassman. And it was a very powerful prayer for him because he had that experience of the interconnectedness of all of us. A very deep experience of the oneness of all life and all lives. And by wishing ourselves well, by wishing others well, we start to untie and loosen up those knots in our own heart, our own hearts. So. Calling out to hungry hearts everywhere through endless time. Wait, so I don't know, I always keep forgetting to tell this part of the story. So when I finally, you know the whole story, he gave me this and said I could sing it at the next meeting of the Zen Peacemakers, which was in 11 months, and then finally a melody came to me. So according to the words that he had given me, the last line would say, all of your sorrow, I make it mine. Meaning I take all of your unhappiness and I'll transform it into happiness. So right before going into the room where I was going to sing it, Bernie showed me the piece of paper I had sent him, the way I had rearranged some of the words. So the last line says, all of your sorrow, I make it mine. And then he looked at me and said, I don't just want your sorrow, I want your happiness too. That's so Bernie, you know. He wants your happiness also. So I had to change that last line at the last minute. You'll see. Calling out to hungry hearts everywhere through endless time. You who wander, you who thirst, I offer you this Bodhi mind. Calling out to hungry spirits everywhere through endless time. Calling out to hungry hearts, all the lost and the left behind. Gather around the share this meal. Your joy and your sorrow, I make it mine. Shri Guru Charan Saroja Raja Nijamanam Kuru Sudhari Varana Raghubar Bimala Jasu Jodayaku Palachari Buddhihin Tanu Janike Sumiram Pavana Kumar Siaram Balla Buddhi Vidya Dehu Mohi Harahu Kalesa Bikara Syavara Ramachandra Pada Jai Sharanam Jaya Hanuman Jaya Hanuman Gyana Gunasagar Jaya Kapisati Loka Ujjhal Ramaduta Turta Baladhama Anjani Putra Pavana Sutana Mahavira Bikram Bhajarangi Martinivar Sumati Kesangi Kanchana Varan Viraj Subesa Kanana Kundala Kunchita Kesa Atta Bajra Dvaja Biraja Kande Munja Janeru Saj Shankara Suvana Kesari Nanda Teja Pratap Mahajagabam Vidyavan Guni Ati Chatur Ramakaj Karibe Koatu Prabhu Charit Sunibe Korasya Rama Lakhan Sita Manabasi Sukshma Rupa Darisya Hindekava Vikata Rupa Darilanka Jarava Bhima Rupa Dari Asura Sanhare Ramachandra Kekaja Samvara Lai Sajivana Lakana Jiaye Shri Raghubira Harshira Lai Raghupati Kinhi Bahut Barai Tuma Mama Priya Bharatai Samabhai Sahasabadan Tumaro Jasaga Asakai Shri Pati Kantalaga Sanakadika Brahmadi Munisa Narada Sharada Sahita Ahisa Makuber Tigapala Jahante Biko Bidakai Sake Kahante Maupakar Sugriva Hinkinha Rama Melai Raja Padadin Maro mantra bibhishan man Lankeshwara by sab jagajan Gasahasra jojana paraban Nilyotai mudura palajan Prabhu mudrika mele mukamahi Chaladilange gaya charajanahi Purgama Kaja Jagat Ke Jete Sugama Anugraha Tumarete Amaduare Tumarakovare Hotana Agya Binu Pezare Sab Sukalahe Tumari Sharana Tumara Chak Kahu Kodaran Apana teja samaro ape Inon loka hanka tenkampe Putte sashan katanahi ave Mahavir javanam sunave Nase roga hare sabapir Japata nirantara hanu Matabir. Sankate Hanuman Churave, Mana Krama Bachana Dhyana Jolave. Sabapara Rama Tapasvi Raja, Tinake Kaja Sakala Tuma Saja. Ora Manorata Joko Elave, Sobe Amita Jirana Palapava. Charon Yuga Paratapa Tumhar, He Parasiddha Jagata Ujjayana, Sadhu Santa Ke Tumarakovare, Asura Nikanda, Ramadula. Ashta Siddhi no Nidhi Ke Data, Savaradina, Janaki Mata, Rama Rasayana Tumare Pasa, Sadaroho, Ragupati Ke Dasa, Tumare Bhajana Rama Ko Pave, Janama Janama Ke Dukkha Bisarao. Antakala Raghubara Pura Jai, Jahan Janam Hare Bhakta Kahai. Orda Devata Chittanadare, Hanumata Se Sarva Sukha Kare, Sankata Kate Mite Sabapir, Josumire Hanumata Balabir. Jai 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 Hanuman Gosai, Kripa Karo Gurudeva Kinai, Jo Satabara Parta Karako, Chutta Hiban Mahasukhoy. Oya Pare Hanuman Chalisa, Oya Siddhi Saki Gaurisa, Tulasidas Sada Haricher, Kije Nath Hridaya Mahadev, Vanatanaya Sankataharana, Mangala Murti Rup Siyaram, Ramalakana Sita Sahita, Hridaya Basa Surabhupa, Syavara Ramachandra Padaje Sharanam, Mangalamurti Marutanandam, Sakala Amangala Muranekanda, Mangalamurti Marutanandam, Sakala Mangala Muranekanda. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram, 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 Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram, Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Taram Sitaram Sitaram Sitaram, Ram Sitaram Sitaram Sitaram, Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram, 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 Shri Ram Jai Ram Sitaram, Nitaram, Sitaram, Sitaram, Nitaram, Sitaram, Sitaram, Sitaram. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. So, if we know anything at all about a path, if we know there might be a way to live in this world, now, today, as it is, as we are, in a good way, with an open heart and without fear, it's only because of the great beings that have gone before us. Out of their love, out of their kindness and compassion, they left some footprints for us to follow. So, in the same way that they wish for us, in the same way that they wish for us, we wish that all beings everywhere, all of us, be safe, be happy, that all of us have good health and enough to eat. And may we all live in peace and at ease of heart with whatever comes to us in life. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Namaste, take good care. As we say in India, see ya. See you next week. Ram Ram.